Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today we're back over on the YouTube account and we are going to be looking at the Abyssal Expedition and we're going to be looking at the boss teams that we're seeing. Now this is actually what we've kind of gotten from the test server, also from the Chinese servers. And I want to run through the boss trials. I'm going to go ahead and put both of the buffs on here because chances are by the time you do get there, you're going to have both of these up. And I want to show you the teams that a lot of players are running in here. Now, first off, is Envy. We knew Envy was going to be an absolute pivotal hero within here, and they're running her with the original version of Entendre, not the Awakened version. Survivability-wise, it does make a big difference. And then they are running Laos in here. Now, overall, we do have him built out quite a bit, so we can use them in a couple different game modes. Pretty cool to see because remember, he's a really, really big buffer, followed by Shuna. Now, they are two very solid heroes, even though it's support and a warrior, still does incredibly well. And the final one in this team is the twins. Now, if you guys remember when it comes to haste within AFK Arena, the absolute pivotal build in haste is coming from the twins doing incredibly well. And then we are also looking at the Pearl Crest Ibis in here. This is the team that we're running. Now, when we look at SPFX, when we look at all the different builds in here, I'm just going to leave them what they have, and we're going to do this for kind of testing purposes. Now, if you don't have Laos, there is a substitution that some players are saying that does work a little bit easier, that does go through here and get the job done. But looking at this team in its entirety, again, if you don't have Laos, you're at about 78 billion damage in there, so doing a lot of damage. Now, if you don't have him, you can actually swap Silas in here instead of him. Now, if you're familiar, Silas will not only heal, has the ability to throw up some immunity, which is super strong within these formations, but also has the ability to buff up attack rating. That is the other reason why Silas does work incredibly well. And again, when you start looking and thinking about these heroes, thinking of the classification or coming into the Abyssal Expedition, when you start, you're really going to be running two different factions or two different classifications. Number one, it's either going to be like a tank, it's going to be a mage, it's going to be a warrior. The secondary one is going to be support. That is the way that you're going to be running this. So looking again at kind of the second formation and seeing what it looks like in here is going through, and let's see where the damage comes in with the alternate of Silas in there, right at 65. So you do get a lot more damage out of Laos itself, but overall the team, and let me see in here because they also do switch up the pet. Now, if you do not have the beast built up to 18, they are running Trickery in here. I feel like Trickery is going to be a really big beast for this type. So let's see where this comes in. We were at 65, 64. So pretty similar to what we've seen with that Pearl Crest. So let's break out some of these other teams, guys. Let's go ahead and clear this out. Now, the next one we look at, still a super pivotal team, is Triia with Baden. Now in here, we're going to be running Liberta in this formation. So we'll actually go ahead, we'll drop him in there. Then it is going to be, again, the original version of Baden, and it is going to be Desira. Now, again, very similar to Silas, Desira gives us the ability to actually have immunity to all of the targets. So depending on the time, and then we're throwing Aurelia in here. This is going to be with the Phantom Moth. So this is going to run the Moth in this formation. Again, not going to worry about collections, not going to worry about anything because it gets kind of dicey in here. But this is another combination through Liberta's ability to heal, to do damage, allows Baden and his ads or his minions in here to do a crazy amount of damage. And looking in here, right exactly where this comes in, we're at 38 billion damage right there, which again, depending on the RNG, depending on what you have on some of the heroes, this can go up or down depending on exactly where you are. Now looking at really our third formation, which is going to be around Rem. Now Rem is very, very strong still within a lot of different formations. We're also going to be running Lucilla in here. Now this one ran Astrilda, again, depending on who you have built, depending on where you have them built. Also the Awakened version of Lucius, and then running Randy in here. This is going to have the Owl in here as this formation. Again, to be super effective within here, you do have to have them built up quite a bit, especially when it comes to Lucius. The bigger that you have him built, the better he is going to perform with that SP effect in here. And overall, it's a really solid team. Even Astrilda in here does bring a lot of buffs to the formation, which is the reason why, again, some of the older heroes are still making a comeback or still making an appearance within a bunch of these different game modes. So go ahead, let's see, because last time we were at 38. This formation, we're running 59. So almost 60 billion damage in there with this formation. So let's continue down this list, guys. Now, looking at this one, this is another one that is an old one, but does work incredibly well. So we have Damia as a super, super strong buffer. Then we also do have Jerome in here. If you're unfamiliar, Jerome is a hero that is kind of broken when it comes to the buffs that Jerome can provide. This runs the awakened version of Belinda with the SP effect. Then we have Rosaline in here. Now, Rosaline is going to be one that is going to follow Belinda because this is going to be about the ults. And if you want to finish out the support, it is going to be Lavatune in this formation. Also running Panda Dumpty in here for everything that he brings, one of the absolute primary beasts to build. And looking at this one again, we have the SP effect that is being run with Belinda. Panda Dumpty is going to keep us alive and give us a lot of extra buffs within here. And I love how they perform. And then, of course, Damia does require the +2 Mahira collection to keep this entire team alive. And it is kind of crazy when you look at the damage that some of these teams can absolutely put out. There's another 40 billion. Again, the variation in here when it comes to damage is going to be greatly variation, a lot different depending on what you have. The next formation, we have the awakened version of Thane. Then we're running Velfura. And again, depending on where you have these heroes built, running Palmer in here. Then we are running Lysandra or Lacaster, exactly, the Sandcaster that we know that no one can remember, including myself, his name ever. Then we're running Nox in here, another one very viable. In here is going to be our Treat Spectator. So let's go ahead and run this one. This one, of course, going to be very dependent on the damage that that awakened version of Thane is putting out and all of the buffs that all of these support heroes. Now, you'll notice that Lysandra is actually being run in that middle spot. That makes him the king, while everybody else in the formation is either knights or rooks, depending on the formation and depending on the damage that we're putting out within the specific one, giving us around 32 billion damage with this formation. And the last one we're going to look at is, of course, a very, very important, which is the awakened version of Athalia. Again, a lot of players do have Athalia built. This is going to be kind of the variation because this takes Lancaster and puts him actually up front. We have Nox that is going in 3, and then this is also running Villanelle as a 4. So looking at where she is, and again, guys, you have to take it with a grain of salt because this is going to be super important, super imperative on who you have built, what you're running in here, because if you look at all of these formations, you're either going to be running mage, like I said, you're going to be running tank, or you're going to be running, it's going to be mage, it's going to be tank, or it's going to be warrior in here. And then, of course, once you do get that relic to go ahead and build everybody else, this is going to allow you to run the rest of the teams with the rest of the relics, which that died out pretty quick. But that's still pretty good for 43 billion damage in there. So I hope it showed you some of the teams that we are kind of running in here and what we're thinking. The Abyssal Expedition does start in 53 minutes, so we are pretty close right off the gate to get this done. Super excited to get in here. Now, also remember, guys, this is the trial version of the beta test, meaning that we're going in here. There are not going to be any leaderboards. This is going to be the beta to see what exactly is broken. And also wondering, we're not seeing Marcio, we're not seeing a couple of the other heroes in here that are of primary damage. So guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.